But with that, I would like to introduce our first keynote speaker, which is Neelam Sandhu from Vonage, our brand new. Welcome, Neelam.
Welcome. Thank you. Hey, good to see you.
Great to have you.
Thank you very much, Rob.
Brand new Chief Marketing Officer at Vonage. Now, everybody in the room here knows Vonage because they're Vonage. They're Vonage. I mean, they've been around for forever. They've gone through a lot of change over the years. I'm really excited with, let's say, the changes and the leadership changes and the whole transition that we've all seen happening at Vonage these last 1 to 3 years since the Ericsson acquisition and everything that came. So really glad that you had the time to come over here to talk about, let's say, a little bit about Vonage, but especially also to talk about, let's say, the change that maybe this industry needs, as we just talked about a little bit as well. So I'm looking forward to your talk. We had a great CPaaS talk 1 or 2 weeks ago already. That's online. Please take the clicker.
You've got the con.
Then the guys in the back will switch. There we go. They switch this. Take your time, and when you're done, I'll come back and we'll have a few questions.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Rob. And thank you for inviting me to the event and to speak. And appreciate also the late morning start, which is unusual for conferences. But good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Certainly really interesting for me in my, I think I'm on my 91st day now in the role, but really interesting to get together with the ecosystem, telcos, competitors, and other players in the market to understand your perspectives on the market and perhaps share a little bit of a outside-in view from myself, a fresh perspective while I'm early in the role. So as I mentioned, I've been in the Vonage CMO role for about 90 days now. Still getting to know the company, still getting to know the market as well. But I thought I would share some early thoughts on what I'm seeing we are doing as a company, what I'm seeing in the market, and perhaps the impact that we can make, and our vision for how we think we can transform mobile networks and that industry. So I've been very focused on trying to define our story in my first few weeks, as I don't really think we do a good job of telling the market what we're doing. And I was going to ask for a show of hands on who knows Vonage, and I think maybe it's a simple question. Hopefully everybody raises their hands. Yep. All right. And who thinks they know what Vonage does today? And we started off as a consumer VoIP company, but who thinks you know what we do today? Very few hands raised. Okay, so I mean that is part of the reason I have been brought into the company, to help define or tell that story to the market. We're doing a lot of cool things. As Vonage, as well as Vonage as a part of Ericsson. And I wanted to perhaps just share a very high-level view of that story, at least how I'm thinking about it, to get a little bit of a reaction from you guys. But I will preface that by saying that the way I'm telling the story is not about speeds and feeds, so you won't hear too many technical terms or buzzwords. If I say CPaaS, I think I have to put a coin in a jar somewhere. But you'll hear it more in a sort of high-level, humanized way. I think that's really important to get the wider, broader market on board with what we're doing and to see what we're doing as transformational. So kind of a storytelling perspective is what I'll bring to the conversation today. And I've got a few notes with me here. So the way I have been thinking about the strategy of Vonage, but also the conversations that we have had over the last few days and weeks, is I'm excited by the vision. I'm excited by what we think we can do with CPaaS, with network APIs, with all the other tech that we'll be talking about today. But I don't see that that excitement manifest in the market, and I don't think we talk about it in a very exciting way. So when I am speaking with others, I try to put the conversation in context by talking about cloud. So if we think about how digital transformation has emerged and progressed over the last 20 years or so, it's really been driven by cloud computing. And I don't think there will be any disagreement on that point. And the impact of the cloud on our lives at work, in our personal lives, it has been broad and deep. And it has really impacted every single vertical, and I think every single geography as well. And the cloud computing space, it's a thriving ecosystem. There's competition, there's collaboration, there's new jobs that have been created, new startups and companies that have emerged. And it's a market that, as you can see here, it's a large market today. It's estimated at $980 billion. And growing at 17% CAGR, so forecast to be a $2.2 trillion market by 2030. So still growing at a healthy pace. And when I say we, perhaps everyone in this room, but certainly at Vonage, we see the same potential for mobile networks. We think mobile networks can fuel the next era of digital transformation and have its own digital tech stack as well. And with 5G as the foundation, and 5G now in high-income countries is rolled out at over 80%, and on a global scale at just over 50%. So we see, as I've mentioned, mobile networks fueling the next wave of digital transformation, with 5G as the foundation, and mobile networks becoming programmable, scalable, and developer-friendly, so that networks are no longer just about connectivity, which they have been for many years, but they become a full-stack digital ecosystem and a marketplace for many different types of audiences to engage with us on. All right, so why now? Why after so many years of mobile networks being available and used in I would say, in kind of a basic way for mobile broadband? Why now? Why do we see mobile networks being able to be transformed into this thriving ecosystem? I believe it's because the enabling technologies have emerged. So think about AI as an example. The first LLMs were invented in something like the 1950s, and it's taken over 70 years for AI to really take off. And why is that? That's because the compute power didn't exist at the time. So the technology was available, but the compute power was not. So cloud came along, it's progressed, developed into what it is today. That's enabled AI to take off. And so similarly, now with mobile, the enabling technologies in cloud and AI have emerged to enable mobile networks to be transformed. Mobile networks have needed the cloud to make networks consumable via APIs. The cloud is really the key abstraction layer between networks and developers. And we've needed AI to transform the raw mobile network capabilities, such as location data, low latency data in a broad way, voice capabilities and other things, into intelligent and adaptive services that can generate new revenue streams for the telco industry as well as for the broader ecosystem. And the 5G coverage has been needed as well, and I mentioned a couple of stats on that earlier. So how does Vonage play into this? So Vonage was acquired by Ericsson back in July 2022 as a key building block for this vision that I've described for mobile networks. And there were three key reasons for the acquisition, or at least three key reasons that I see for the acquisition. One, the large developer community and that base that Vonage had and has today. The enterprise customer base, you can see some of the logos up on the screen here, very important, as we've seen in the cloud computing era as well. And enterprise really is the driver of the market growth and the transformation. And then the tech stack that the company has, or the tech portfolio. UCaaS, largely a commoditized market today, but it turns mobile networks into a communications platform. Contact center, and I don't really love the name contact center, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. But contact center turns mobile networks into an engagement layer. One of the comments I make to my team internally is like, when we're talking about this from a marketing perspective, think about it as a verticalized solution rather than saying contact center when we're talking to healthcare experts. Perhaps we call it a patient engagement platform. So I think part of it comes down to the terminology to make this sound more interesting and visionary for what it can achieve for mobile networks. And then communications APIs give developers the access to the underlying tools and solutions that mobile networks can provide to develop new solutions. And we've innovated in all three of these areas since the acquisition, building in AI capabilities and other things. But we've also added a fourth component to our solution stack, which is network APIs. And so we've added these to take the capabilities that are inherent in mobile networks, but have been, dormant, and we're exposing them for added functionality so that developers and others can take that to really create new experiences for enterprises, for consumers alike. You see in here a $100 billion market size potential number. I think the date of 2027 is slightly ambitious, but certainly it's a large market, and perhaps I think this even underestimates the size, the potential of it. Talking a little bit more about how the technologies of Vonage can come together to enable this market, I'll give an example or two. So if we take healthcare, for example, and this will demonstrate why the four key components of our solution set play together well, and why we have some differentiation in the market. So think of a person who suffers a health incident, perhaps a heart attack or something else serious. A first responder's on the scene. They use a 5G connected tablet to connect back to the hospital as they're on their way there. And they use network APIs to make sure that the connection is low latency and high quality. And they use that to send diagnostics and other information to the hospital team as they're on their way there. And then the internal teams are having conversations with one another, as well as the first responders who are on the scene. And they're using CPaaS to make sure those calls are secure and reliable as well. And then the team on the ground in the hospital, the different healthcare experts who need to be engaged, are communicating with one another using UCaaS. So it brings together all of the components of the Vonage platform and enables a very reliable, highly secure, innovative experience, and hopefully helps save lives in this example. Okay, so I talked a little bit about our differentiation, and then I also mentioned at the top of the conversation that Vonage was acquired by Ericsson 3 or so years ago now. So what does that mean for our bigger story? So it adds an added layer of differentiation and uniqueness. So Vonage is the very far right circle on this diagram, on this flywheel, so described as service innovation. Then Ericsson is here on the left. So Ericsson provides the differentiated, highly programmable, high-performing network. And then Ericsson and Aduna together have been working over the last couple of years to bring together the ecosystem under a organization called Aduna, which is a JV that was established by Ericsson, as well as with the support of a number of telcos around the world. And collaboration, as we all know in the tech space, is absolutely essential to drive innovation forward. So the Aduna JV provides the global network platform. That, as I mentioned, it brings together telcos, but also other organizations in the ecosystem, like the hyperscalers and others, and our competitors too, like the Cinch and Twilio and Cineverse and Infobip and others. Okay. So I'll just click through some of these slides here. All right, this shows kind of diagrammatically what we have achieved with Aduna, or what Aduna has achieved with Ericsson. It's taken a very fragmented ecosystem and transformed it into a global network platform to help accelerate innovation. And we've seen something similar happen in China. As I mentioned, those three key drivers of why China has seen progress and growth in network APIs. And the good news is that this exists today. I've got a few stats on a forthcoming slide around how many countries Aduna is live in and how many partners are part of the ecosystem. But we need more of this, more of the ecosystem working together to really help drive this vision forward and execute on it. Because otherwise, I could see a world where we're talking about this, it's exciting, making a little bit of progress, but we end up a little bit like the IoT, which has so much potential, but really hasn't realized even a small percentage of that potential. At least not any use cases that I think are highly valuable. Why global aggregation? It's a force multiplier. So as the telcos come together, as the ecosystem comes together, it enables developers to get more excited about the platform, and also to develop at scale and execute at scale. And needless to say, that drives more revenue for folks, as well as more ROI in other respects too. So as that all comes together, it creates a platform for market demand, Aduna plus Vonage, plus the Vonage technology. And we can see that realized in some of the statistics that I've got on the right-hand side of the slide here. Aduna currently has 37 partners that are part of the ecosystem, and that's been a very quick ramp-up. It's taken about a year or so to achieve that, and there's continued momentum. They're adding new partners on a regular basis. They're live in 17 different countries, which, again, no mean feat as you're trying to get the ecosystem, particularly the telco industry, to move and join forces. And then from a Vonage perspective, there's 23 APIs today across comms and network APIs, and that's a growing list as well. So really starting to see at least the foundational components of this vision come together, and some movement in the market, and then that validation from the China market. And we're hoping that conversations like the ones that we'll be having over the next 3 days here can help drive more progress. But certainly, I don't know what the magic answer is to drive that or achieve that inflection point. But I think conversations like the ones here will help figure that out and move us forward. All right, that is it. Thank you. Okay.
Thanks, Neelam.
Thank you.
That's great. That's great. I love how you paint that picture of the whole stack with Ericsson, Vonage, and Aduna. Mm-hmm. And I love also how you started by saying we need to move from connectivity providers to full stack ecosystem and take advantage. And I think for a long time, a lot of the CPaaS players in the room were thinking of the telcos as the connectivity providers, right? And they were doing the smart stuff on top with APIs and getting to the developers. Now, the way I look at it, and we'll talk about this afternoon, is AI is disrupting that picture for everybody. Because in the world of AI, you don't need the CPaaS players, basically. Except the basic, it becomes a channel for the AI to work against. And already today, you can connect, I think, Twilio and a number to the likes of ChatGPT. And so who needs CPaaS anymore? And I think that's what we're looking at here, that as an industry, and that's certainly the take that I get from Ericsson, Vonage, Aduna, we need to look at that bigger picture and not just a horizontal layer. Exactly. So how do you do that then? What's the approach then when you think of this from an Ericsson, Vonage point of view? How will you go about that?
Gosh, that's a tough question. I think it comes back to what you're saying. We need to look at this perhaps not in such a niche way. It's not just about CPaaS and doing things and trying to drive more CPaaS adoption, but it's looking at how can CPaaS integrate with other technologies or continue to evolve and drive more of an impact. And thinking about it in a bigger scale, I use AI as an example from a storytelling perspective. If we had looked at AI as a tool to enable more advanced analytics for the cloud, or as a tool as kind of Google Search 2.0, I don't think it would have been as transformational in the industry. It's been positioned as a new technology that will change how we live, how we work, perhaps in a good way, perhaps in a not so good way, something still that is an answer that's yet to emerge. But as we think about it in a bigger way, and certainly don't have all the answers today for what AI will do to the world, it's partly about just kind of being open-minded and thinking about how it can integrate with other tools and services to drive large-scale change, as opposed to it being part of another stack. So I think we have to think about mobile networks and the enabling technologies like CPaaS in that way. And AI is perhaps an enabler of that, as opposed to us being an enabler of the next wave of AI. Just thinking about it in a bigger way is part of the problem, in my opinion.
So does that also mean, when you look ahead, when you think about AI and CPaaS and telco coming together, will Ericsson buy OpenAI at some point, or the other way around? What do you think? What do you think will happen there? Are we going to see mergers of companies? I mean, Ericsson went out and bought Vonage, right, for a couple of billion some years ago, which we're now starting to see the results of. So do you think this will happen, or will that be different? We talked a little bit about the mindset in telcos and CPaaS versus the mindset in AI, where everything's possible and new, and a completely new generation. I'm looking around the room here, but it's still a bit older generation here in this. How do you see that? I think it's really a culture also, and a mindset thing, and we're just not as sexy, I think, as telcos.
That's one way to describe it. Would we acquire OpenAI?
Or something similar, right? I mean, we saw 1 or 2 weeks ago ASML investing in Mistral, for example, in Europe.
Yep.
So because they want to be part of that bigger picture, should we be looking at those sorts of developments with the telco tech companies like Ericsson, Nokia?
Yeah. Well, I think that every company, whether they're a telco, whether it's Ericsson, or whether it's in a totally different area of the tech industry, has to have AI as part of their portfolio. Doesn't mean everybody becomes an AI company, but I think AI is kind of like a hygiene factor nowadays. You have to have some sort of AI solutions embedded into your tech, just like you have to have cybersecurity components embedded into your tech. I think it's becoming a default and a standard. One of the reasons I don't plan to kind of lead our story with the headline of AI, because I think AI is a pillar, it's not the headline. I think the telco industry perhaps maybe controversial of a statement, but needs to see themselves as tech companies now. And I don't think that necessarily is the case today. They may like to believe that they are thinking that way and there's innovation there, but I think we need to kind of broaden the mindset and move a little faster and think more expansively. Perhaps that involves telco companies acquiring a smaller AI company to sort of shake things up and move things forward. And I would say that if we don't do that as an industry, and we've seen this happen in history many times before, in the broader tech space and other industries, if we don't innovate, if you don't innovate, you die. There's a statement out there that I didn't make up. And you disrupt or you be disrupted. So we shouldn't be too complacent. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks
Love
very
it.
much. Yeah.